values and their positions and beliefs. Not always in agreement with everyone, but definitely creating that space for us to be able to exercise our First Amendment right. And that's so encouraging. Last night, unfortunately, a small group of people chose to act in a criminal manner, and we are going to be consistent as we have been for the last year, and that we are not going to tolerate or associate criminal behavior and free speech. They are different, and we are absolutely passionate and advocate all able to be express their points. We were able to get the march over to City Hall, then they ended up down at Pioneer Square, and then it disbanded. So really overall, very, very encouraging week, and grateful for, once again, Portlanders, grateful for the Portland Police Bureau and for the state police, for the men and women doing the work out there. Very appreciative of that. I have been in regular contact with the mayor and with City Council over the last 24 hours, giving them updates yesterday and making sure they're aware of the actions that were taken. And then, of course, we had the press release and information that we sent out this morning to everybody, so they've been brought up to speed on that. I'm going to turn it over to Nathan, and then we'll be available for questions.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Yeah, thank you. So first and foremost, I want to start off and just say how much I appreciate Portland Police and Oregon State Police taking swift action last night. They've been keeping me very apprised and briefed, and the cooperation is just ongoing, and it's very intense, and I really appreciate that. And what I've seen is that we are at a place where certainly many of us may not agree with what's happening nationally, and we want our local folks to be able to demonstrate, we want to be able to exercise their First Amendment rights, but that is totally different than going out and engaging in violence or in vandalism, and there is no tolerance for that. And so whether you are on the left, the right, the center, it does not matter. If you break the law, I'm going to seek to hold you accountable. And that's the end of the story, really. But day in, day out, this office is going to be working closely with law enforcement and making sure that our city remains the beautiful, wonderful place that it is, that people have the right to speak their mind and to do and have this beautiful city in a way that we can all enjoy.
All right, and briefly, I just received a statement from the mayor's office. He couldn't make it. He had a really busy schedule today, but wanted to share this. Mayor Wilson proudly supports the right of Portlanders to peacefully express their views. He stands with the district attorney here. The Portland police have effectively addressed acts of vandalism by promptly arresting those suspected of being responsible. We extend our gratitude to everyone who peacefully joined in sharing their beliefs, helping us unite around the principles of free speech, freedom, acceptance, and the protection of the vulnerable. And again, that was from Mayor Wilson.
Are you going to send that out?
We can get that out to you, yeah. With that, we'll do some Q&A.
What charges are the people facing from last night?
You got that list, Mike?
Yeah, you can pull that up. Excuse me. So, all right, the charges, one individual is criminal mischief in the second degree, unlawfully applying graffiti and attempted aggravated harassment. Another individual, criminal mischief in the second degree, possession of a graffiti implement, which is a Class A violation. And then the 3 arrests by OSP, one for criminal mischief in the second degree and resisting arrest, one for interfering with a peace officer and resisting arrest, and the third person interfering with a peace officer, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct in the second degree.
My question is for Tuesday. You've long said that the Bureau has learned lessons from the protests in 2020. What lessons did the Bureau apply to this response?
Yes, thanks. So I believe some of the lessons learned that we've demonstrated just in the last week and including last night is, first of all, a stair-stepped approach, right? We have our dialogue officers engaging well before the events, trying to be available to the facilitators to see how we can support really their message. You know, if they want us to be able to create a safe place for them, or however we can work with them. So that's the first step. And then we have increased our reliance upon our bike patrols, which allows us to, one, be more nimble and more responsive so we can take that selective action like we did last night. really to be able to go in and effect an arrest and then have the march be able to continue is the goal, because we don't want to detract from the people that are trying to get their message across just because people are engaging in criminal behavior. So the use of our bike patrols, our uniforms are different. Our RRT, our rapid response team, with both also on bikes, but even when in their traditional uniform, we've changed the design. They're still well protected, but it's I don't know if I would consider it a softer approach, but it's definitely a toned down approach. And then, the ongoing training we've done around de-escalation, around understanding crowd dynamics, and really trying to take a more measured approach to these events, and really allowing the community to dictate the tone of those and the manner in which they go, and trying to not insert ourselves. On this Monday, we had the march that went from Peninsula Park down to the convention center. So, Peninsula Park over there on, Portland Boulevard. And, I spoke with somebody who was in that march, and they said to me, "We never saw any police officers. We don't even know if you were around." And I said, that's exactly the point. I mean, we're not there, if we don't have to be. And so last night, much like all the events we've seen over the week, we were going to just, allow them to march and be fine. But we always are monitoring and observing. And when we saw the acts of vandalism, we felt like we need to make arrests.
I have a question for the district attorney. Mr. Vasquez, back in August 2020, your then boss, Mike Schmidt, announced that he wasn't going to prosecute most protesters arrested at these demonstrations. And you were there when that policy was announced. Here's your photo. So I'm wondering, what's changed? What's the difference between you and Mr. Schmidt? Clearly you're sending a different message. How are you shaking things up compared to your last boss?
Well, if you remember, I was there to talk about what was going to be prosecuted. And I'm here today to say there is not a policy in place in my office to prohibit us from prosecuting any crimes. The difference is very clear. We work very closely with Portland Police and with Oregon State Police and I'll say it again, left, right, or center, if people break the law, they're going to be held accountable.
Why are you making this break with the policy of Mr. Schmidt?
Because I don't think it served this community. And I don't think it served the individuals that were actually out trying to get their message out. I think when you have and you allow criminal behavior, it detracts from people's ability to exercise free speech. And when we see that is allowed to get out of control, our city suffers. We see windows smashed, we see fires set, we see out of control graffiti, and overall, this is an amazingly beautiful city. And every day we have wonderful protests. But when we allow that criminal behavior, it detracts from that, and it detracts from our city. And so I've been very clear that we're going to take a very different approach, and we're going to be very involved, and we're going to hold people accountable.
Thank you.
Question for David, related to the week as a whole. Today we're reporting the Justice Department is directing federal prosecutors to go after any local officials who stand in the way of Trump's immigration laws. What is your reaction to that, given the city's compliance with state sanctuary laws?
Well, I think, like a lot of local officials, I'm very saddened by the approach of the federal government in this area. Certainly, I'm working very closely with our Oregon State Attorney General, Dan Rayfield. We have already dedicated our attorneys to reviewing some of the laws that were put forward. I believe it's the 1798 Alien and Sedition Act, very antiquated law